Happy December, everybody. This is our last webinar of the 2019 season. Guys, I cannot believe that we have done 12 of these. We've had some really amazing speakers, and I cannot wait to jump into this last one. Before we do that, you can already see who it's going to be, and we're all excited to have Marc here. We're just going to talk a little bit and tease our 2020 season for 1 minute. So in January, we're going to hear from Carol Glenn, who is the customer care specialist at Girl Scouts, is going to talk to us about scouting opportunities for our kiddos. In February, we're going to talk to Stacy Neustadt, who is a speech pathologist at Bayo Enterprises. She's going to talk about families and how we need to work with the therapist to make a cohesive unit to care for our kids. In March, we're going to talk to Bo Larson about Camp Civitan and all of the wonderful things that they offer during the summer for our kids. In April, Courtney Burnett is going to come on and talk about dignified changes and the legislation that she passed through the courts this past year, and is going to talk about how we can do advocacy like that. Guys, we're also going to have people on talking about ABLE accounts, building inclusive communities in our schools, and we're also going to have someone come on and talk about sibling relationships, because that's something that's really important to our community. So the 2020 lineup is looking great. And now I'm going to introduce Marc Garcia, who is like our footnote at the end of this season, and I'm so excited to have him on here. So Marc is the president and CEO of Visit Mesa. He is going to come on and tell us all about what Visit Mesa does and how they started this, what I consider to be a very revolutionary process to get Mesa to be the first Autism Certified City. And I'm just so excited to have him here. I absolutely love what he is doing for our community, and I think it's just going to be really exciting to see what happens and how this really transforms cities across the United States and makes places more accessible for us and for our families. So Marc, thank you so much for being here. We're really excited to have you as our EndNote speaker this year, and I'm just going to let you take it away.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Very much appreciate it. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your viewers. And I just want to start things by saying, first, I'm sorry about having to reschedule on you. Thank you for being accommodating of my schedule last week, and thank you to your viewers as well. This has been truly exciting, and I look forward to kind of getting in and digging into our initiative with all of you. But I think it's probably first appropriate to share with you who we are, what we do at Visit Mesa. So I'll do that first. Visit Mesa, you perhaps have heard of a convention and visitors bureau. Well, that's what we are. But many of us convention and visitors bureaus over the past 7, 8, even as far as a decade out, have begun to change our name to more appropriately describe who we are and what we do. We're sales and marketing organizations. Our jobs are to sell our cities, market our cities for both leisure and business travel. So that's what Visit Mesa does, and we do that in a number of different ways. When it comes to group sales, we're segmented into 3 different departments. We have a national sales department. That's where we're going after meetings, conventions, trade shows, so association groups, corporate groups, government, what we call SMERF, social, military, educational, religious, and fraternal groups. Then we have another department that's focused exclusively on the sports market and primarily the youth and amateur sports marketplace. So in Mesa, you may know that we have 2 spring training facilities. Well, both those spring training facilities also have practice fields. And those practice fields, when they're not being used by, in our case, the Chicago Cubs or the Oakland A's, there are free dates where we can book other youth and amateur baseball events. So if you have kiddos or you yourself were involved with baseball or softball, you may be familiar with USSSA or Triple Crown. We do a lot with a local guy here, Ryan Dyer, with Woodbat Classic. So we do a lot in that space. We're the home for the WAC conference, the Western Athletic Conference, Men's Collegiate Baseball Championships every single year. That's held at Hohokam Stadium. We do a lot in junior and amateur golf. Longbow Golf Club in Northeast Mesa does perhaps more junior and amateur golf championships than any other golf course in the state. We have a fantastic relationship with them, as we do with Los Andes, who just recently hosted the NAIA Division II National Men's Championships in golf. And then finally, we do a lot in group leisure. So we work with wholesale tour operators, retail travel agents, domestically and overseas, primarily overseas, that'd be in the UK and Germany. A tour operator can be even, like American Airlines Vacations or Southwest Airlines Vacations or WestJet Vacations. Those are companies that are actually separate companies from the airlines. They're the trade products. So if you look like in the magazine, in the seat pocket in front of you, and you see where you can package hotel with air, with experiences, well, we're working with those tour operators to make that stuff happen. And then we work with a whole host of independents all across the country, all over the world. And then, of course, we do consumer advertising, consumer branding. That's all segmented by lifestyle, whether that's outdoor enthusiasts and adventurous, or it's about family travel. And we work through Google and Facebook and YouTube and a whole host of digital and traditional platforms to elevate the Mesa brand. And that, I think, will be the segue into autism. Um, yeah, and I'll get into why it was personal for me, but it was very much a business decision for us. This wouldn't have happened if it didn't make good business sense for us. But let me get into how this all happened. This was inspired by, you see the little boy there sitting on his brother's lap. That's Mason. And so this is my family, my wife, Jenny, in the middle, who is on this webinar. Our oldest son there, Gavin, he's 22, he's at Arizona State. Our middle one, who's over on the left, is a freshman at the University of San Diego. And there's our little Mason. Mason was diagnosed with autism at 14 months. He's now 6 years old. This picture is about a year old. And I've said this before, if anyone's heard me, it truly did. It rocked our world, my wife and I. When you receive that diagnosis, you begin to ask yourself, well, lots of questions. What does this mean for him? What does this mean for us? Is he gonna, lead a productive life? Is he gonna have to live with us forever? Where do you go to get services? How do you get those services? Some of those questions have been answered since that diagnosis 5 or so years ago. He's made tremendous strides. He's been in preschool at SARC. He gets a lot of respite services, occupational food therapy, things that my wife can speak to far better than I ever could. But he's been getting a tremendous amount of resources, and he's doing extremely well. So much so that he is now in a traditional school, in a traditional classroom, with an aide, a SARC aide in the classroom, and doing very, very well. Some of those other questions, the answers to those questions, we don't know yet. He is only 6 years old. We have a journey ahead of us, so we'll see. But as I started to look into this, I just realized that there was a terrific opportunity to do something that was the right thing to do, but also the right business decision to make. We were on our vacation, our annual summer vacation, 2 summers ago. I'm not going to name the city. I don't think that's the right thing to do, but it's in Southern California. And we typically have a lazy week at the beach. We may go out to dinner a few times, but we're pretty much down at the beach every day. This week, however, we decided we wanted to immerse ourselves in the city. We decided to split our week between 2 hotels. We were going to visit museums, attractions, and it was just a really bad week. Mason had meltdown after meltdown, and we were made to feel uncomfortable, unwelcome, uninvited in some situations. And the thing was, it the looks and the muffled whispers that we experienced weren't necessarily coming from other guests like us. They were coming from hospitality or supposed hospitality professionals, people in my business. And I just said it at the time, this isn't right. I'm going to do something about this. I might not be able to do something about this here, but I can do something about this in Mesa. And even at that point, I mean, again, you're talking 2 or 3 years in of the diagnosis, and we had done a lot of research and dug into it quite a bit. Obviously, I knew about the prevalence rate of 1 in 59 children have autism, 1 in 35 boys. And I learned through my wife, who is one of these incredible autism moms, autism warriors. She's in all the chat rooms, all the Facebook channels, Facebook groups, and I've learned through her just how incredibly loyal the autism community is. Once they hear about or learn about a place that's quote unquote autism friendly, they flock to it and keep going back. So you have this massively growing consumer base that's hyper loyal. I said, this is an opportunity. This is a consumer base we want to get in front of. It's exactly who we'd want to target. And so after that summer vacation, I went back to my board of directors. We're just so happened to be having our our 2 3 year strategic plan with my board and my leadership staff here at Visit Mesa. And I shared the experience and said, let's get out in front of this. And they said, let's do it. At the time, we were in the middle of an election campaign. We had a ballot measure on the November 18 ballot, so it kind of slowed our process. But as soon as that election was over, again in November of 18, we flipped the switch on this initiative. And so we determined, okay, now let's do that, but who are we going to work with? Who are we going to partner with on this? And so I looked locally through the local channels and the local autism groups. And what we were looking for is, at least as it related to tourism, just wasn't available. So I had to start looking outside the state of Arizona. And that's when I stumbled across IBCCES, the International Board of Credentialing and Continuing Education Standards, and saw on their platforms that they had been doing certifications for over 20 years, primarily in healthcare and in education in the classroom. But 5 years ago, they started getting into the travel and tourism space, working with SeaWorld and their whole host of brands that they have. Saw that they had certified beaches resorts and the Mall of America in Minneapolis, the Nickelodeon Center, the Space Center in Houston. And I said, wow, this looks like, the organization we might want to be talking to. Because even at that time, I knew I wanted something that had teeth, something that was substantive, something that the autism community would look at and say, well, that's the real deal. This isn't just a sticker in the window. This isn't just putting a video together, maybe producing some sensory guides. I wanted a top to bottom educational platform where employees in our business, in our industry, would have to learn what autism is and what it looks like and what the world looks like through the lens of someone who lives with autism. And hopefully there would be a recertification process, because as we all know, the science continues to evolve on this. The best practices around autism and autism services continue to evolve. So it's important that our industry would stay fresh. So that's what I was looking for. And that was the nature of my call with IBCCS. This is going back to December of 2018. Long story short, after about a 6 to 8 week conversation with them, which included Skyping like this or Zooming like this with some of my keyboard members and staff members, we determined that if we could get at least 58 of our partnering businesses, call them members. It's like we're like a membership-based organization, except we call it partnership. It's a slightly different model. If we could get 58 of those businesses and 80% of their front-facing or guest-facing staff to go through the certification that we could achieve this autism certification and designation for Mesa. At that time, it was just as a travel destination, not necessarily as a city through and through. We thought that would come later because we thought this process would take quite a bit of time. But it's been unbelievable how quickly this all came together. Thanks to Mesa Mayor John Giles, who spent quite a bit of time with us, helped us with carrying the message forward. He got on camera, and he had a plea to Mesa citizens, Mesa residents, to help make Mesa history to do this. And of course, we got the Mesa Chamber of Commerce involved in the process because we wanted to at least begin the process of going outside the travel and tourism space with traditional local businesses. We were able to get the Parks Department to sign on early, and then 3 of our largest hotels here in Mesa to all come on, so that in April, we had some momentum coming out. So in April, we had this call, we made this announcement asking our partners to join us in this initiative, having these other 5 already in our pocket, so to speak, so that we could develop momentum. And it's just been beyond my wildest expectations how successful it's been and how many businesses and how many people have signed on. Nearly 4,000 to date, 4,000 people representing many of the businesses and companies that you see on the screen, and even more since we created this PowerPoint. We know that Boeing has sent at least 3 or 4 dozen of their folks through it, primarily in their HR departments, hiring managers. Their interest in this is on the employment side. And that's where we want to take this next, actually. The Autism Certification Initiative in Mesa, the next phase will be focused really on employment, probably after we do the recertification in 2 years. And then hopefully down the road into housing, and really focusing on the major employment corridors and centers in each corner of Mesa. But it's been really exciting. And one of the reasons many of the travel industry organizations jumped on is because we promised some deliverables. So we've invested considerably in advertising and marketing, getting out to the consumer base, hyper targeted, both geo and demo targeted. What you're seeing on the screen now are some of the print advertisements. We're in Autism Parenting magazine, and we're in Autism Eye in the UK. This kind of just gives you a little feel for the creative and some of the copy on it. Obviously, I mentioned being hyper targeted on the geo and demo side. We're doing a lot of digital advertising, working with Facebook. We knew when we tested some of these things, because we had a local focus group of autism moms who are our target market, and we were testing the mark, the brand that you see, the puzzle piece with the M inside of it, but the color combination, and then what they would be looking for, how they wanted to be communicated, what they thought would be successful, giving us some good suggestions. And a lot of what you're seeing and what I'm showing you now came out of that process. Here we're going to be in YouTube. We knew through that process, through the testing and focus groups, that this is something that needs to be very visual. And so YouTube and Facebook were going to be critical to our success. We just launched our advertising about 10 days ago. So I'm sure there are questions rolling through your brains right now about, well, what's the success rate look like right now? We're seeing lots of click-throughs. We're seeing a tremendous amount of click-throughs. With our call to action is to our website, which I'll show in a minute. And then there's a booking bot there. And we're getting a few bookings, but there's a lot of folks that we're seeing getting all the way to that point and then maybe jumping off because maybe they have Marriott points, Hilton points, and they're going direct. So it's going to be probably at least a 6-month process before we can really gain any meaningful intelligence about how it's going. But from a PR standpoint alone, it's been incredible. We were on the BBC last week. We've been in the New York Times twice. So many different forums I couldn't even describe to you, but if you went to Autism Society of America or the National Autism Association and you scroll back through around November 18, November 19, and you see their Facebook posts and you see the tens of thousands of likes and shares and tagging and the comments, which are, they're saying, I hope these people are ready for us because we're coming, and tagging people saying, spring vacation, Cactus League spring training, let's go. The comments have been overwhelmingly positive. I mentioned the website. If you were to go to visitmesa.com right now, or this direct portal, autismtravelaz.com, you're not going to see it look like this. This is what it's going to look like. Visit Mesa is totally re-engineering, retooling our website with a new company. It launches in mid to late January. What you see now on this screen is more of what it's going to look like. And we're really, really excited about it. But again, this will be the call to action for all of our digital advertising. All of our print advertising will be to direct them to this page to find more, to get more information, and to book their hotels if possible. We also produced an autism travel guide. This is, another reason why many of our hoteliers and attractions and restaurants wanted to join us, because they would be listed in another one of our pieces, which are extremely well read, well received. We've made, I don't know how many copies of this now, I think 30,000. But in this travel guide, which you can download from the website, it tells a little bit about our story. There are autism moms who we brought into market to audit the destination, including the family you see in that picture on the screen. We brought them in from Buffalo, New York to audit the destination, to audit the certified autism centers that exist. And then they're also sharing their stories about, the trails and just recommendations that they have as autism families about how to navigate our city. Geocaching, another thing that we found extremely interesting and very popular in the autism community, especially in the preteen and teen community. They love geocaching. This is a unique way to experience a destination without having to be so social. You're using your mobile platform, whether it's an iPad or your cell phone, your smartphone. But there are these geo tours that people love all throughout the country, all throughout the world. We have 10 caches right now that are placed, they're hidden at 10 of our CACs throughout the community. And it's been amazing since we had this launch in November. Um, People have been coming into our visitor center here in downtown Mesa, because that's part of the challenge. If you pick up at least 5 of these caches, you come into our visitor center and you get a prize. It's been amazing. I didn't really know much about geocaching other than it existed and other than people liked it, but didn't realize how exciting it is. And so for people, they love it. And it's been wildly successful. We've already had, I mean, no exaggeration, at least 30, 40 people coming through, 30, 40 families, I should say, coming through to claim their prizes just in this short period of time. It's been truly amazing. One of the things that we're really excited about is our partnership with COPA Health. For those that are local here, COPA used to be known as Marc Community Resources. Marc has been in Mesa for decades, going back to the 50s or 60s. Marc used to stand for Mesa Association for Retarded Children. Obviously, they've changed that and just had that acronym there for years and years, but they've recently got into partnership with COPA Health to offer respite services. So this we're now able to provide our visiting families, our guests, is respite services. So let's say, a couple or family are here, mom or dad is here as part of a convention. And as part of that convention, let's say mom has an awards banquet that night. She wants her husband to join her, but the kid can't really go to the evening banquet. So COPA would step in and either provide respite services at the hotel or at the attraction or they can take them to their facility, which has all types of great sensory services, quiet rooms, you name it. Or they can take them to any one of our CAC, Certified Autism Center, parks or attractions that have joined us in this initiative. Maybe they want to golf while they're here. Maybe they just want to break and go out to dinner during their vacation. So we think this has a lot of legs. I think this is going to be wildly successful. We just had a meeting a couple of days ago with COPA and trying to build this package and this experience out, what those options look like. And we'll be providing that on our website, and those options will be living on the COPA site as well. Here's a video.
This is our first trip to Mesa, Arizona. We've never actually been in the Southwest before. Coming from New York, we were really hoping to see some exciting new things, the desert, the cactus, but we also were very excited to try some of the new Autism Certified attractions that are around the Mesa area. As an autism mom, I'm always looking for opportunities for travel with my family. It's really difficult to find a place that's going to be accommodating to my son with autism and the rest of us, frankly. 87% of all families with autism don't travel at all. So for me as a mom, I feel so confident in going to an autism certified destination because I know that the staff there has been trained in autism awareness and they're ready to welcome us with open arms.
We wanted to come to Mesa, Arizona to really experience all that it has to offer, and we've just had a fantastic time. Going to an autism-friendly location takes that stress away from me as a parent. For all the places that we've had the opportunity to visit in Mesa, Arizona, give these guys a 10 out of 10. If you're looking for a great place to vacation with your family, visit Mesa.
So that's the video that's going to market. We've cut and spliced that into 50-second commercials, 30 seconds commercials, and they're out on the market now, and they'll run throughout the season. For season, that means through April, possibly through May. We'll see, how well it does. Maybe test a little bit in June and see if there's an appetite for, our down season in the summer to fill hotel rooms. But as I mentioned, that's the Tebow family from Buffalo, New York. The mom there, Nicole, is a travel agent. She's already proving to be a huge advocate for us and sharing our good message with the rest of the world. One of her boys that you saw in the video is diagnosed with autism, and another was diagnosed with sensory processing disorder. So, again, going back to what I said at the outset, it was important for me that this was real, that it was meaningful, authentic. That's why we brought in an autism family to come and audit, what we were doing. And we're going to continue to do that, not just with the Tebow family, who are coming back in again, I believe in February, but we'll be having other families coming out because we need that constant feedback to make sure that our product here, our package here, is truly authentic and truly meaningful. And again, we're going to be going through the recertification process in 2 years, and we continue to add businesses as we go. We're talking to some other key attractions, key restaurants. We'd like to add more food into the mix. more restaurants into the mix. But Michelle, that's pretty much that's been our journey thus far.
Awesome. I would love for you to, why don't you go ahead and pull up your website so people can kind of see what that looks like. Because I think it's impressive, the list and the amount of businesses that you, like you said, have already gotten to jump aboard this program. And I just think it's amazing that you did all of this within the span of a year.
Yeah, I mean, really, it is. It is amazing to me. I'm still flabbergasted by it. And really, it's, we just announced it really publicly in April. So, I mean, you're really talking about 7-8 months.
Yeah.
This all came together, and we had already reached the designation in late October. So, well before the big November 18th event that I know you attended.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's been incredible. So, yeah, this is the website. Again, this is how it looks right now. But again, the whole look and feel of it is going to be so much cleaner. We're really excited about this. This website, as you see it now, has been on the same wireframe since even before I got here 7.5 years ago. Mm-hmm. By the way, I spent, for your listeners and viewers, I spent the previous 15 years of my career with Visit Phoenix. So yeah, the wireframe was pretty much the same, but the technology, as you know, as everybody knows, is constantly evolving, and our users, our customers, they're booking travel. 70% are booking travel on either their tablet or their mobile phone.
Yeah.
So this portal will be built from mobile out.
Nice.
And it will be seamless, and it'll look just the same on your mobile device as it will on your PC. So obviously you have the badging here. We are the nation's first Autism Certified City, according to IBCCES. Yeah. If people would like to learn more about the process, I encourage them to click here in the frequently asked questions, and that'll go through, what this looks like, how we got there, what certified actually means. As far as, I'm sure there's questions that people are having, or well, how do you get certified? What's the process? What's the cost? It's a difficult question to answer. Yeah. Because there is no one size fits all. There is no one cost fits all. It really is determined by your business, how many employees you have, what industry you're in. Because if you're, let's say your SRP, who just announced that they're a certified autism center, which is fantastic. Theirs is on the employment side. So their training is completely different than what it would look like for the Sheraton or the Hilton or the Delta Hotel in downtown Mesa. Yeah. It's just completely different. And while most of the training is offered online, and most people opt to do the online training, you can also opt to have IBCCS come into market and do a 1 day, 2 day, however long it is, however many employees you have, a face-to-face training session, which is what SRP did.
Oh, really? That's cool.
Did. And of course, cool. Mesa PD, Mesa Police Department, 1,200 of their employees have either gone through it or are going through the process right now. And their training is obviously different from what the hospitality sector, the type of training they're doing. From what I understand, their training is more of a 4-hour platform that's doing real world experiences, getting them into a situation where they might be dealing with someone with autism. So role playing, that sort of thing. Fire department has sent hundreds of people through. Our parks department has sent 500 through. And most of the organizations now, through their HR departments, have made this a part of their regular onboarding process for when they hire. So any new person that's hired on, they have to go through this training.
Mark, do you have any idea of the total number of people who have gone through training so far?
I think it was before the announcement, it was nearly 4,000. I think we may have gone over the 4,000 mark. Yeah, it's amazing.
Well, and what's so cool about that and amazing about that is that is now 4,000 people who are now more understanding, more compassionate, more knowledgeable about families with autism, what autism is, what it looks like, and how they can help when we're just kind of out in the community, which I think is so huge.
You said it. Amen. That's really
Yeah.
what it was about. You know, some of the questions early on for some in the community be like, well, autism certified, you're not a therapist. We're not trying to build an army of therapists here.
Right.
If anything, this is more of a business certification than anything else. But it's about building awareness, to your point. It's about getting more people, you know, maybe they have a nephew or they have a grandson or whatever that is on the spectrum, but they really don't know all that much about it. And even in our 30-minute online for the, you know, the shortest level of training, which
Hmm.
is what's one of the back of the house folks are going through,
Yeah.
you'd be surprised at how eye-opening that 30-minute training session is. And the video they show you where you do see the world through the lens of somebody with autism.
Yeah.
You learn quite a bit. And of course, you got to take a test. That's part of the certification process.
And
So,
that test is hard. Oh my God. It was so hard. So I came on and was certified as a autism certified specialist because I don't have a center as D.A.M.E.S. You guys can see I'm in my house. Like we don't have a location. But the people there were very great at steering me towards the right certification to get. And it was amazing, the speakers that they had, the topics that they covered, and I loved the fact that the test was hard because you really had to absorb all of that information in order to pass it. So I feel like this is not like a flyby kind of certification. I mean, the people who are getting certified, they really have to pay attention to the material and know what they're talking about before they pass that test.
and if you know, or take anything larger than the 30-minute course, and maybe even the 30-minute course,
Mm-hmm.
you better be taking some notes. You better be
Yeah.
writing things down and looking back through your notes before you take that test, because I've known several people who failed it the first time around.
Yeah.
And I went through I got the autism certificate, which was a 14-hour course, and I mandated that. I think there's 5 of us here on staff that went through that course. What we're going to be mandating here at Visit Mesa through the recertification process is that everybody earns the Certified Autism Travel Professional designation,
Awesome.
the ATP, and we'll be impressing upon our partners in the business when they go through theirs, at least in the hospitality sector, that they do the same. And we're also encouraging that the leadership staff at
Mm.
all of these businesses or hotels or attractions, what have you, that they're sending them through elevated coursework, at least the 4-hour course, if not the 14-hour course that we took. And that's especially true for the HR managers or HR directors.
Yeah, I went and visited Saguaro Guest Lake Ranch, and Dale, who is, you know, the chief operating officer out there, and he was like, "Oh, I'm so excited! I'm going to do the certified autism specialist one," and I was like, "Dude, take notes." Like that is but it's awesome to know that they are really going above and beyond what they have to do to get that, you know, original credential. I mean, they really care and they really want to include our communities. You know, there's so many statistics about our communities and how we live in isolation. I think it is 70% of autism families actually don't go into the community and don't participate in community events. And I think that that's what's so powerful about what you guys are doing, because I mean, even when you and I talked, it was like, well, you know, these businesses now are doing autism hour. You can come, you know, Sunday before we open to
That's
the
the last
public.
thing I
And
wanted to do.
yeah, I know. And that's what I love about what you're doing. Because when you and I had this conversation, he goes, that's crap. Like, why aren't you? Yeah, I don't think you said that, but,
It'll be
you know,
365.
but it's like, why aren't we in the community all the time? And that's how it should be. We shouldn't be confined to an hour you have safe space, you know, where your autism kids can come,
Right.
but the rest of the time it's not open to you. And I think that that's what I love about what you're doing, is because you're saying, no, your family is accepted all the time, which is how it should be.
Exactly. And you know, that really warms my heart to hear you say that, to hear you say how tough it is to take the test, because that means a lot to me. I mean,
Yeah.
going into this whole thing, as I said, probably several times now, it was very important to me, critical to me, that
Mm-hmm.
this was meaningful, that this had substance, and that it continues to live and evolve with substance. If
Yeah.
not, why do it?
Yeah.
Right. So thank you for that. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I love that people are incorporating it into their onboarding. And again, I just think the more people that know about autism in our community, just the better off everybody is in accepting of our children. So, Marc, what I think you've really started here is a powerful movement that is going to sweep across the United States. Can you tell us a little bit about that? Have you had other communities and other cities reaching out to you?
I have, but I'd hesitate to name the cities just because I don't want to put them on the spot or have it get out there. And, because you know how politics work in
Yeah,
every community, and, something may derail what some good people are trying to do.
yeah,
But yeah, several.
that's
Um,
awesome.
there are two that are extremely serious about doing this, and they're navigating their board, their city halls respectively, to try to get the support that they need. This is not an inexpensive enterprise, I'll tell you that. If a
Yeah.
destination marketing organization like ours wants to do this,
Hmm.
it's going to take some resources, both human and financial, and considerable ones at that.
Yeah,
Nothing that's going to break the bank, but it's something you need to be aware of getting into it.
yeah,
In our case, there are a lot of mom and pop businesses that are just barely, scraping by. They wanted to do this. Their heart was in the right place. So, Visit Mesa kind of helped a little bit.
yeah.
Um, and it's not something we can do for everybody, but if we continue to grow this in a smart and intelligent way,
Hmm.
and it makes sense to do that, then we'll continue to look at those on a case by case basis. But that's what other communities need to be aware of as they go into this, and that's certainly what I'm sharing with them and communicating with them as they ask me questions. And these are cities from all the ones I've talked to come from every corner of the country.
That's
So yeah,
cool.
hopefully, and we'd love to kind of soak this in and book some business out of it. Again, this was a business decision for us,
Mhm.
so we'd love for that to live a little bit. And but certainly, we'd love to see this permeate throughout the country. And that was another reason why we did this. It wasn't just that experience that my family and I had in Southern California, but just even at home, just recognizing that this country's not ready.
Mhm.
Very much when you talk about autism, the focus is on the kids,
Yeah.
and rightfully so, but they're going to be adults. Is this country ready at all service levels, whether you're talking about the grocery store, the dry cleaning, the post office? These businesses are going to have to start to recognize that they need to adjust some of their practices in order to provide good customer service.
Well, right. And I love that the next phase for you guys is going to be in business development and trying to create more job opportunities for this community, because you're right, it's just such a huge population now. And they're only going to get older, and they're all going to need to be employed. They're all going to need good housing that's affordable. My God, I can't even imagine. My husband and I all the time are like, how much money are we going to have to put away in case we have to pay for these outrageous
Uh-huh.
housing places? I mean, like $3,000 a month for the rest of their lives. That's ridiculous. It's
And there's some good
unsustainable.
people and good companies out there doing some good work in this space.
Hmm.
Let's just hope it happens sooner rather than later, right?
Yeah,
That more and
definitely.
more people's eyes are open, and they get it, right?
Yeah. Well, I love what you guys are doing too with COPA and the respite, because I cannot tell you, usually when we travel with our family, we travel in a pack, right?
Uh-huh.
So
Oh,
that if Matt and I want to have like a date night, my parents are there to watch the kids, because
right,
otherwise that's just not going to happen.
right.
So I love the idea of having a place that, has therapists that are being hired. Because honestly, if I was in a strange place, that's the only person I would trust my child with.
Yeah,
Somebody who is really a certified therapist.
certified therapist,
Awesome.
exactly.
And so I think that is huge. I
There's a lot of buzz about that right now.
appreciate that a lot. Yeah,
Field
I'm
calls and
sure.
emails about this, about our relationship with COPA, and they're all excited to see exactly how we're going to build this out and put it together. I'm eagerly waiting for it to be done too. I mean, there's some things that we can do,
Yeah,
and to COPA's credit, I mean, this is not going to just be something available to visitors. They're
yeah,
going to have this as options for people who live here who want to go out on a date night, right? Or get away for the weekend,
that's
right?
huge.
So
Yeah,
yeah, we're
that's
excited about it.
that's amazing, because it is hard just to find a respite worker. but then it's like, can you trust that respite worker? But like I said, if they're a therapist, there's a little bit more of that trust factor that you're going to let them watch your children and they're going to know what to do and how to handle your children. So I just think that piece is really amazing.
We just had a travel writer with us doing a story on this initiative, and she's writing for American Way, which is the in-flight magazine for American Airlines. And we're going to be featured in the April 2020 edition, which is Autism Awareness Month worldwide. And so we're excited about that. But she brought her son along with us. So they sort of audited the destination as well. And we had Copa there. We were at the Sheraton Mesa Hotel at Wrigleyville West, right next to Sloan Park, another certified autism center.
Yeah.
And they were providing respite services. You know, a lot of our kids on the spectrum love the water. And you're in a Sunbelt destination. You're here for the warmth. You're here for the water, right? But, you know, having a certified therapist and a lifeguard that can take your child into the water while you're doing something else at the hotel, or you have something else to do throughout the community, it's just a load off your shoulders. And you're getting your child getting them to do stuff that they want to do.
Yeah.
Fun.
Right. So
Yeah.
they're having fun and
Right.
you're having fun. It's a win-win. Which is not how a lot of our vacations go. So it's pretty awesome. Well, I think that's all of the questions that I have for you, Marc. I think what you've done here is just revolutionary. And I think that it's going to cause a huge ripple effect all across the United States and do nothing but positive, amazing things for our community. So I really appreciate that you are a person in a position that could do this and you did it. And I think that that's just wonderful.
Well, thank you, Michelle. Appreciate it. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to share our story with your followers, your listeners and viewers. This is exciting, and we look forward to seeing where it takes us. And you're right. I hope it does move all throughout the country.
Yeah, I'm sure it will. And it'll be so cool to be like, I know that guy, he started this. It's awesome. And you are that person. So even cooler, but you know, just really appreciate it.
Thank you, Michelle.
All right. Have a good one.
Happy holidays.
All right. You too.
Bye-bye.